Welcome to the Alex Merced Cast, where Alex Merced of AlexMerced.com brings you principled, thoughtful, libertarian commentary on issues that matter.
Do you enjoy Libertarian podcasts? Shows like the Alex Merced Cast, Lions of Liberty, Johnny Rocket Launchpad, the Remzo Republic, the Tom Woods Show, and the Jason Stapleton Program? Then tell other people about these shows by wearing the Libertarian Podcast t-shirt, which is available at alexmerced.com. So go to alexmerced.com to buy the t-shirt, and also make sure to check out libertarianwingmedia.com for libertarian commentary and news.
This is Alex Merced, and you are listening to the Alex Merced Cast. Today I have the host of a very popular libertarian podcast, We Are Libertarians. I have Chris Spangle on the line with me today. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, Alex. Nice to join you finally.
Yes. So thank you for being on the show. And tell the audience a little bit about We Are Libertarians and where they can listen to We Are Libertarians.
Yeah, it is a podcast that I started 5.5 years ago with a couple of friends, and then it's grown into something way beyond more than what I expected, more than a hobby, even into, dare I say, a business over the last 5.5 years, as we've grown to one of the larger libertarian podcasts, and there's we've got about 20 contributors here in town, and 2 to 4 of us get together every Thursday night and discuss current events and apply the libertarian philosophy to it, and just chit-chat, and we also goof off a lot. So I always say that it's like National Review meets Mad Magazine. It's a very irreverent podcast. It's probably the closest thing that the Liberty Movement has to a comedy podcast, and it's just a great time. It's become my main friend circle, as well as the people that contribute, and I think that chemistry comes through on the air, and I'd love for everybody to check it out at wearelibertarians.com. And we try to talk about stuff that everybody else isn't talking about in the Liberty Movement, just because, you know, like Tom Woods and you and Mark Clare of Lions of Liberty, like, you guys do a great job. So we tried to do something differently, if not more sophomorically.
Cool. And tell us a little bit about your libertarian origin story. Like, how did you find yourself to libertarianism?
I started getting involved. I've always been into politics since I was a kid, and it started really when I went to Washington, D.C. in 6th grade, and I was on the Washington Monument, and I just looked out over D.C., and I just fell in love with the town and politics, and really started to follow a lot. And so when I got to college, I started volunteering for Republican campaigns, because my family was all Republican, and in 2004, I was the college Republican president at IUPUI, and got pretty involved there, and I ended up working for a congressional candidate by the name of Andy Horning, and I thought he was a Republican, but it turns out he was actually a Libertarian, and I didn't really know what that means, and he kind of taught me a lot about libertarianism, and then I went on to get an internship at a radio station and worked for a guy named Abdul, and Abdul challenged pretty much every Rush Limbaugh, George Bush talking point that I had, and I had no defense. And while talking to Andy and Abdul simultaneously, I became politically homeless and yet sort of found an ideology, and ended up kind of floating somewhere in between the conservative movement and the libertarian movement until the 2007 debates, when I saw Ron Paul. And the last piece of objection that I had to the libertarian movement was foreign policy, and I just the concept of blowback and everything that Ron Paul talked about in those debates, it made so much sense to me. And then so I just decided that I was going to really jump in and actually be a libertarian, and started following the Libertarian Party, and they were a complete disaster at the time. And said to them, I don't understand why you guys can't get this together. This seems like it's your moment. And they said, well, we don't have an executive director. And so I, despite my dream job being radio, left a radio job to go take that full-time job as an executive director. And I spent 4 years from 2008 to 2012 working for the LP, right before the '08 election to right after the 2012 election. 4 of the most fun years I've ever had. I learned so much about politics and people and libertarianism, and still have so many great friends from that time in my life. And in that, I started We Are Libertarians in 2012. And then after that, ended up working for the Advocates for Self-Government, or as you might know, the Quiz People, as their marketing director for a year, and then went on to work for a national radio show. And then that's sort of where I'm at now. But I love the libertarian movement. Having watched it the last 10 years, I've never been more hopeful for liberty's future. I mean, it's just people talk about the word all the time, and it was just such a secret when I was in college in the early 2000s. So really exciting time for everybody.
Awesome. And with 2016 now in the rearview mirror, now, if I remember right, you're in Indiana. How's everything with the Indiana LP? How have things evolved post 2016?
It is Indiana has always been one of the stronger LP states, and I think it's because Hoosiers are just naturally irascible and independent. And in 2016, and in every presidential election, we're always one of the top states for the presidential candidates. Since the 2016 campaign, we elected a chairman by the name of Tim McGuire, and Tim is a great chairman so far. He's a no-nonsense guy. He runs a small business, and he's running the state party like a small business. He's whipping it into shape. The central committee that he put together, and which I had a hand in doing, is one of the best central committees that I've seen in the 10 years that I've been around the party. I'm on the central committee, and I'm one of the worst members because I'm very busy, and they find that unacceptable, and that's such a great thing. Like I love that the mentality in the Indiana Libertarian Party is that we need you to show up and work and fulfill your responsibility, because forever in the LP it's always been, well, do you want to do it? No, I don't want to do it. You do it, And so now it's people are ready to lead and ready to jump into the game, and so the Indiana LP is just a shining beacon, in my opinion, across the nation, and has had such a strong party because it's had so many great people involved over the course of 30 years. Our last chairman was somebody who was one of the first 2 chairs of the Indiana LP. He's still involved. So we've got a lot of institutional memory, and that has been a big part of our success here in Indiana.
Awesome. And what are the qualities that make for like a good leader, a good chair, that in your view?
Well, you've got to have the right combination of you've got to hold people accountable, and you've got to do it in a way that entices people to get involved without shaming them. I find that libertarian people are far too passive-aggressive, and I think if they were more direct and just said, these are what we expect you to do, these things, we'd get a lot more done as opposed to like just kind of the backbiting and back-talking. I love that if I'm slacking on my duty as a central committee member, as a board member, Tim calls me and says, hey, I need you to log in. I need you to get in here. I need you to do this. This is when I need it by. And that is, and I don't take offense to that. I appreciate that because I'm a busy person with a lot of projects and jobs, and, just like every single other person involved in the Libertarian Party, and you've got to have somebody who's just on top of stuff saying, hey, can you do this, please? And on the back end, thanking them after they do it. There's not a lot of thanks in the LP, and we need to make sure that as leaders in the Libertarian movement, we're thanking the people that are actually out there getting stuff done, and if they're putting in work, somebody's got to thank them, and why not you? And so those are just a couple of things. I think you have to be direct, you have to be clear about what the goals are for the organization, and you have to be someone you have to be polite. And another thing that I've noticed is I'm an ENFJ. I don't know if you've taken the Myers-Briggs, but as an ENFJ, like, I just get people. I understand how people work. And I know that so many libertarians are INTJs, which people are basically computers. And you have to just treat people – you have to understand that some people are not going to follow through. Some people are going to mess up. Some people are not going to be predictable. And you've got to really invest in them and have conversations with them. And just if someone says they're going to do something, politely ask them to do it. Remind them a couple times. But if somebody just flakes, then you just got to let it go and not get mad and passive-aggressive about it. So yeah, I would encourage everybody to take their Myers-Briggs and kind of figure out themselves, and then that will help you figure out other people.
Very cool. For the record, I am an ENTP. Now, one of the things I definitely notice so much growth when you go to like chapter meetings, state chapter events, etc. But sometimes when you're inside the online libertarian echo chamber, you can get a very different impression in a lot of the conversations going back and forth. I mean, like any family, there's a lot of arguments among family and friends. But so how do you feel the difference between sort of the libertarian universe on the internet versus the libertarian universe in IRL?
I like most of the people that I meet in person, and I like most of the people I meet online. I don't. I'm not afraid to start drama. I even called you out on one of our podcasts, like, hey, he's got this libertarian podcast site. Why are we not on it? Send him a nice note. And, I plugged your website a bunch, and it was mostly just, it was a lot of sarcasm. But it wasn't meant to start a fight with you, for instance. Now, there are other people in the libertarian movement that I just flat out do not like, and I'm not afraid to say that I don't like them because I don't think they're good for the liberty movement. One of those people historically has been Chris Cantwell. I was right. And I think that we have to say this is not the right strategy, or this is not the right person for this role. We have to have those honest discussions, and I criticized Nick Sarwark for his comments about Tom Woods the other day. If you're listening in a future date, I won't get into it right now, but I like Nick a lot. I think that Nick has been a very good chairman. Nick and I are friends. We privately messaged about it. I didn't think that his strategy was good, but I'm certainly going to comment on it as a libertarian commenter. But it doesn't mean that it diminishes my respect for Nick, and hopefully it doesn't the other way around. I just find that libertarians have thin skin, and they don't like any type of criticism whatsoever, because the inevitable comment from a Republican or Democrat is, this is why you guys don't win. I was just about to join, and then this happened, and now I'm not going to join. And you just have to understand that person was never going to join in the first place. They're just looking for the first excuse not to join and not work and not get involved. Like, the people who get involved and work and are worth it are the people who are in love with the idea of making every person free, and not the people who are commenting on your Facebook page, I don't like drama, this is why libertarians don't win. Ignore those people. If you're going to put yourself out there as somebody who leads, as somebody who gets things done, then you're going to get criticized. And you have to realize that it's just how it is. And you can do one of two things. You can just politely respond and be graceful, or you can just do sometimes what I will do, or especially what my co-host Greg does. Look at the monster deep inside yourself, and then treat them the way that monster would. Where for entertainment value, essentially, the Trump strategy, there is going to be infighting, and there's going to be discussion. The discussion between a lefter libertarian like Nick and a righter libertarian like Tom Woods in a public sphere is not infighting. It's a discussion about strategy, maybe with a little name calling, but at the end of the day, it's a good discussion to have. And we freak out that somehow having these discussions will make us look bad, and it's just insecurity. And insecurity is the quickest way to turn off a viewer, a listener, a watcher of your Facebook page. You've got to be confident in your ideas, and you've got to know that you're right. And some of the dumber stuff in the movement, like I don't pay attention to a lot of it. Like, I don't care who Adam Kokesh is fighting with this week. I don't think my audience does either. That kind of drama I just don't care about. But we need to have thicker skin and grow up a little bit and stop trying to pretend that everything in the LP is great, because it isn't.
100% agree on all counts. That was beautiful. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the Libertarian Party, a lot of things that are going right. Now, there's always room for improvement as far as like, or just people that we need with certain skills. Is there certain skills that you feel like we wish we had more people involved that had like X skill, Y skill, or filling X or Y role in your experience?
Yeah, like we're both good friends of Jen Gray, and I think Jen Gray is a great. She has a podcast called Leading Liberty, and Jen is a very personable person who is a go-getter, who is hardworking, who has digital marketing skills, and is willing to build out, great programs to market candidates and think outside of the box. We need those kind of people. We need more marketers and more salespeople. We have a lot of engineers and accountants and people who want to read a lot of books, and we need people who are really willing to put their money where their mouth is, and build out platforms that spread the word, and help people build out the platforms that need to be built out. I think that people persons are kind of what I'm trying to say. We need more extroverted people in the movement, and birds of a feather flock together. So I'm trying to bring in extroverts, I guess. We also need people who have a lot of money because we all have a lot of projects that need to get done. We need database engineers. I think the travesty of the Libertarian Party, specifically in the Libertarian movement as a whole, is the fact that we have no real ability to reach like the data and the databases of our state party, our local party, and our national party in the LP are a disaster. They don't talk to each other. There's nothing like what the Republicans had called Voter Vault, where if I'm a volunteer at the local level, I can communicate with the national party's contact lists. So we just do a poor job of data management and big data and marketing to new people and generating new leads. And we need more of that mindset in the party and less people who are just kind of who want to talk about the philosophy, which is fine. But if we're ever going to grow as a political movement, then we need to focus on generating new leads. If we're not going to be a political movement, and to be frank, I think it needs to be more of a cultural movement. It's why I do a show as opposed to run a pack. Then you still need those persons, those people who want to, like you and I, work hard to build a bunch of different platforms and show off a lot to try and build audiences. So that's, I think, the personality type that we need more than anything else.
Okay, yeah, I 100% agree with that. And sort of on a non-libertarian topic, movies 2017. What movie have you enjoyed most in 2017 so far?
Man, I am the wrong person to ask because I am just not a movie person because I have ADD like you would not believe. I watch a lot of lynda.com for fun and various YouTube videos. So I just don't watch or read a lot of like fiction-based stuff. But I will say I did see a couple months ago The Free State of Jones. And it was one of the most libertarian movies I've ever seen. I watched it 3 days in a row because it was so good with Matthew McConaughey about during the Civil War. It's a really great movie, and I'd recommend that highly.
Got it. But you mentioned that you watch a lot of lynda.com. What kind of things have you been watching over there at lynda.com lately?
Yeah, so lynda.com is such a great resource, and I think that if you're involved in kind of what you and I do, which is build out these different platforms, lynda.com, for those who don't know, is a site that basically is online courses for all aspects of business. You can learn how to do movie editing and movie shooting and photography and how to build a business and SEO and how to build a WordPress site and anything involved in the online space and entrepreneurial space. You can watch courses on how to do that stuff. I have been learning a lot about SEO lately because I want to optimize not only our website, but for some of my digital marketing clients. That's been some of their needs. I've been watching about membership sites and WordPress optimization to really kind of make sure that our website is working as well as possible. And I just watched something on getting things done, which is a productivity thing. And that was really great, and I'm going to try and be more organized. So, yeah, I really love lynda.com, and I cannot recommend it enough. I've tried their biggest competitor, and I did not like it. Lynda is from LinkedIn, and it kicks butt, man. It's great.
Awesome. What is their biggest competitor? Like I use, what do I use? Udemy, I think, for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
I actually just returned a bunch of Udemy courses right before this phone call because the quality just was not as good as lynda.com because it's more crowdsourced, whereas Lynda is more top down and managed, and so you can find more unique stuff on Udemy, and you just kind of have to investigate because you can end up getting some real stinker courses if you don't really kind of investigate ahead of time on Udemy. Whereas lynda.com, I've never had a bad course. I've had it for a couple of years, and I've taught myself Premiere, the video editing suite. I'm going to teach myself After Effects. You can learn how to edit podcasts. It's an awesome platform, and I think if you're wanting to learn new skills and make yourself a better employee or a more marketable job prospect, get lynda.com. It's worth the $30-40 a month, and invest the time in furthering your continuing education.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Now, before we go, feel free to remind people where they can listen to We Are Libertarians, where they can learn about anything else that you think that they should be checking out, listening to, watching, learning, reading, etc.
Yeah, We Are Libertarians is between 2 and 3 hours every week, and we really dive into a lot of subjects that week's news cycle and give you a full view of it while making you laugh. And you can, and I've got a bunch of other resources that I'm constantly trying to build out and share, and you can plug into the We Are Libertarians universe at wearelibertarians.com. I would recommend a couple other. If you listen to the beginning of our podcast, then you'll hear that we promote, some other libertarian shows like our mutual friend Lions of Liberty and Roger Paxton and Lava Flow and Johnny Rocket Launchpad. They're a great podcast. Remzo does a great job. Jen Gray has a great podcast too. I think that those are great podcasts to listen to in addition to yours. And I would also say there is a website called Rational Review Digest. And it's by Thomas Napster, who is a longtime libertarian, and he puts together this email that you can get every day of every piece of libertarian commentary and every news story you're going to need to read that day. And I support him on Patreon, and I think he just does a bang-up job, and not enough people know about it. So the Rational Review Digest is just Rational Review News Digest, I think it is just really top-notch stuff.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you very much for being on the show. Again, everybody, make sure you subscribe to We Are Libertarians over there on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And again, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to the Alex Merced Cast. Learn more at alexmerced.com, libertarian101.com, and libertarianwingmedia.com. Follow Alex Merced on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.